The Whiteout Podcast, episode 4. We're back. Noah, how you doing?
Pretty good. Excited to talk Jets. It's been a while. Happy to see you today, Braden, over the internet here. How are you doing?
Not bad. I came down with a little bit of sickness this past week, but it's not COVID, so I'm pumped. I'm feeling better. And, I'm pumped just from some good hockey this week. How do you feel the games went so far?
Since we last talked, I think the Jets have had a winning record. Obviously, didn't like how the Vegas one went. Connor Hellebuyck got them a point there for sure. Maybe in a game they didn't even deserve a point. He got them a point. He even gave them a chance to win the game. I love that. Connor Hellebuyck, the Jets' best player, doing great things, playing up to his Vezina caliber style. I don't believe we talked after the LA game. That was a great game to see. They came back from a 2-goal deficit in that one, winning 6-4. More high scoring than some of the Jets games this year. We'll take it. Then in Mullet Arena, 3-2, the Jets come back with a late goal by Mark Scheifele to tie the game. And then Wheels in overtime, a guy I have in fantasy hockey and who I am rooting for to rebound personally, just because of all the hate he's been getting. He scored the game winner in that one. We move along to last night's affair against the Montreal Canadiens, another overtime game where it was nice to see another guy get off the schneid, perhaps Kyle Connor
Yeah,
scoring his first goal not on an empty net this season, and the Jets win 3-2. Maybe you would like a little more of distance between the Jets and Montreal, but the Montreal Canadiens have been surprising teams this season. So just to get the W, 2 points, put them in the bank, that's good enough. The Jets have been beating expectations, I would say, around the league for where people had them. So fantastic hockey lately. Not much to complain about other than the fact they didn't show up in Vegas, and Hellebuyck had to get him 1 point. And credit to him, he got him a point.
yeah. You know what? I think so far it's sort of been a weird year, sort of around the NHL, right? There's teams winning that you didn't think were going to win. There's teams losing that you're like, where is this coming from? Um, Maybe to some, if you really dive deep, I mean, like if we're looking at a team like Toronto, right, that you're not expecting to win too many, or you expect it to win a lot of games, but when you look at them, what's their defense like? How's their goaltending? They're in shambles. So the Jets doing well doesn't really shock me a whole lot. I know that like when we talked, it was like fringe playoff team. We don't know how this team's going to come out, but like we said early, when this team plays to their full potential, they're a great hockey team, and especially with Connor Hellebuyck guarding the net, he's one of the best to do it right now. So in the game against Vegas, where your team doesn't come out to necessarily help you out too much, you know that okay, well, we still got a shot because if Hellebuck's playing how Hellebuck plays, he's going to give you a chance, and that's what he gave them. And even that loss, I mean, he got them a point, and you know what? It seems like in a lot of these games where Hellebuck needs to stand on his head. If it's not maybe throughout the whole game, he makes 1, 2, 3, 4 big saves that save the game for them. So I think it's undisputed that Hellebuck is where this team lives and dies by. The game last night was phenomenal. Just maybe not the best hockey, but it was one of those games where, as a fan, it's exciting. There was plays happening all over the ice, chances, big saves, big rushes where you think, oh, it's here, and then it doesn't pan out. So the overtime winner was just ecstatic. I was sitting in the booth with the Montreal guys last night, and they're calling the game, and it was the French broadcast, so they're calling the game, and I can't understand anything they're saying. And then the goal goes in. I jump out of my seat. I'm just pumped, and they both just sort of look at me, and I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot where I was. And I was having the time of my life last night. It was a great fun game as a fan to watch. So I'm pumped to see where this team can keep going.
So you must have heard some syllaboo.
Oh, of course, yeah, and all the other, the I love how they say Martin Saint Louis.
Yeah, yeah, the French accent they got going on.
Yeah, it's
I love
awesome.
you said the team lives and dies with Connor Hellebuyck because I've been saying that for years. I've said it on this podcast before, and it's true. He's their best player. There's no denying it. No Jet has won an individual award like the Vezina for their position, like Connor Hellebuyck has, and he's showing why he was a Vezina winner early on this season. I hope he keeps it up, and I hope the Jets keep playing well in front of him.
Yeah, you know what, when it comes down to it, goaltending is so big right now because there's not a ton of those high caliber goalies. So for the Jets to have probably a top, right now, I'd say top three goalie in the league, but overall, maybe if you're looking at it statistically, maybe top five. I don't know. But I would say he's top three, even pushing number one right now. He's played unbelievable, and it shows. So, with how these sort of games are going, I'm thinking we're gonna do one probably after the Tuesday game. I'm thinking. So let's get your sort of opinions on Saturday's game and then Tuesday's game. The Saturday against Chicago and then Tuesday against Dallas. How are you feeling those ones are going to play out for our Winnipeg Jets?
Well, Chicago, I mean, they're kind of in the same boat as Montreal. Not too many people thought they would have a good year, not the tire, but a good season. And I mean, they're surprising people a little bit here to start the year. And that happens sometimes with bad teams. They play the underdog role the first 10 games really well and they surprise teams. And then they start fading steadily down and they get to where everyone thought they would be. I think that will probably happen with Montreal and probably Chicago because I know both franchises, their management was perhaps looking to tank and get Connor Bedard based on the moves that they made in the offseason. That's how it looked anyway. So I do expect the Jets to beat Chicago, the 2 p.m. Central Time start, a Saturday matinee. Make sure you're up bright and early for that one. You don't want to sleep in too much and then be surprised when you have to tune on the game right away or tune into the game right away. I say I don't like to make predictions, but I always seem to make them anyway. So I guess I just hate being wrong with my predictions more than I hate making them. I'll say the Jets win 5-2 against Chicago, and then we move to Tuesday against Dallas. The Jets got beat down pretty good against Dallas earlier in the year. Rick Bowness, I don't believe was there. This should be his first game coaching against his former team where he's actually on the bench for the Winnipeg Jets. I hope that the Jets show up for Rick Bowness, but I do believe this will be a seesaw kind of match. Maybe the Jets respond from that last loss they took to Dallas. Maybe it's the same old same. It's hard for me to say. Um, Not going to give a score prediction on that one because, like I said, I think it's a seesaw battle. It can go either way. I am rooting for the Jets. I hope they win, but I think for sure you got to take the 2 points out of Chicago. And then Dallas, they're a good team. We'll see what the Jets can do with that opponent.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll beat down in Chicago a little bit, but like you said, I think right now we're still in a stage where this can go in either way with any team. But I think we should beat Chicago. Dallas, on the other hand, yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. I'm gonna actually predict an overtime loss against Dallas. I think we're still gonna pick up a point. I'd be happy with that. I think going into these two games, if you come out with 3 points, so um, yeah, and the projections, I mean, yeah, like we always say, it's hit or miss, right? Where we're telling you what we think and what statistics tell us and what the eye tests tell you. At the end of the day, it could go either way in any of these games. So far this season, we've talked a little bit about what we think needs to change, and I think now that we're somewhat into the season, what is there changes that need to be done? Is there fixes that could be made? What are your thoughts?
I mean, one that jumps right off the page to me is the fact that the Jets don't seem to have a centerman over 50% in the faceoff dot. Now, faceoffs, I don't know how much you value them as a stat. It's not one of those ones that is the analytics community highly values, I don't think, but I do think it has a big impact on the game, especially in situations like a penalty kill, a defensive zone draw in the last minute of a game, offensive zone draw to set up and make sure that you can get the cycle going when you're winning. There's a lot of reasons that the Jets would like to win more faceoffs, and there's a lot of reasons that I would like to see the Jets win more faceoffs because I do think it impacts the game more than perhaps some people. Right now, we're looking at Pierre-Luc Dubois is the highest Jet faceoff percentage at 48%. Wheeler's got 42. I don't know how many draws he's been taking. 44% for Scheifele and 43% for Adam Lowry as of, what is it, Friday, November 4th, 2022. I'd like to see that be bumped up a little bit. I'd also like to see the Jets forwards produce a little bit more. Right now, their leading scorer is Josh Morrissey with 9 points in 10 games, and that's phenomenal. Like to see that from Josh Morrissey, but would also like to see some more production down the lineup. Shifley has a lot of goals, not too many assists. He's like Cy Young. He's 6-1 here, so like to see more depth scoring too. Uh, and just more scoring overall from the forwards. They're getting it done by committee right now, but I don't know if Josh Morrissey's going to be able to keep up that pace. What are your thoughts on what the Jets can improve on? I'm not saying they have a lot to improve on. I think I like the start a lot, but if I were to identify one thing, it would be the face-offs and then perhaps seeing more scoring from the forwards. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, so our face-off percentage is 29th in the league right now, which is
Checks out.
terrible. Um, the power play needs to be addressed. I think we're 27th in the league right now. We're tied for in playoff percentage or power play percentage. So what I'm seeing out of the power play is that we set up nice when we're able to get set up, and we score when we're able to get set up. But the amount of times that we take it into their zone or get snuffed at the blue line without being able to get it in, it's outstanding. And when that happens, and when they're dumping the puck consistently on us, it's that it eats up time. And so when we do finally get set up, it's like we got 15 seconds left on the power play, and we just can't figure it out. We can't get it to work. So obviously something needs to be changed there. And you're right, that somewhat comes down to faceoffs, right? If we can win that offensive zone faceoff and set everything up right from, you know, second one of the power play, that helps us out a bunch. Um, the penalty kill has been very, pretty good this year. I'm not, I have no complaints there, but the power play, which we talked about at before the season started, we said that might be a problem. It didn't look fantastic. So that might come down the line. Maybe they're still learning the system. I mean, it's still early, right? So we got a lot of time here to work things out, and I have faith in Bonus to do that. So
I will say for the power play not cranking out goals right now and the Jets to have the record they do, that's a good sign. If the power play can turn it around, that equates to more goals and more wins. So
yeah,
special teams is good to identify there as what the Jets can improve. I agree with that there, Mr. Braden.
all right. So now that we talked about the problems, we like to we want to bring it back and keep the energy high. So what are things that we're doing right? What's our gold standard right now?
I mean, I do like the penalty kill. I like the 5-on-5 scoring that the Jets are providing. They're they're playing a pretty good defensive game. Their breakouts have been pretty good. I just like the overall team mentality they're bringing. It seems like they have a team bond that Rick Bonus has brought back that maybe has been lost for the last couple of years. He's got Shifley to buy in more so than he has been in the last couple of seasons. Love to see that. Just the camaraderie or whatever the word would be there. I think I'm messing it up. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. Sorry about that, folks, but just the bond the team seems to have. I love to see it. I think they're going to continue to improve on that culture that they're establishing once again. That's probably the best term for it. Yeah, just the culture the Jets are bringing, looking to win every night. And I like the speed of the Jets that they've had so far this season,
Yeah,
especially in the top six.
yeah, I fully agree with you. The culture has been brought back so far this year. Coming into the season, what our biggest thing was: bring the culture back to Winnipeg, get the fans back involved, and that's something they have done. Sorry if I sound all muffly. I'm still a little clogged up. Um, the other
Better be
thing,
sorry.
sorry.
You better be
Yeah,
sorry.
I know. It sounds like I'm talking through you know, I don't know, megaphone or something right now.
How
Um,
dare you get sick?
I know it's ridiculous, but um, I mean, looking sort of at a couple other things, like you said, defensively, we played really well. We're tied for sixth right now in goals allowed.
Exactly.
So that's a big telltale sign. If we can take as much pressure off of Hellebuck as we can, and don't get me wrong, most of that comes down to Hellebuck being as good as he is. But obviously, there's another component because if Hellebuck's getting 40 some shots a night, he's gonna let in more goals. So if you look at last night, we outshot Montreal, and it turns into a win. Right, we have to shoot the puck more. We have to cut down on the number of shots that we're giving up, and that's what I think overall we're doing pretty good. Um, We're 19th in average shots on goals per game. So not the best, but it's middle of the pack. But then you think we have Connor Hellebuck in net, so you're okay to be in that middle of the pack with a top three goalie. So overall, I think this team has done very well. The culture thing is huge. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. So this is sort of an interesting question. Where do you think that we want to be by the Christmas break to call this season a playoff push chance here that maybe we go for a run or we chalk the season up? Where do you want to be? Where do you think this team will be by the Christmas sort of break?
I said they were definitely a wild card team and a fringe top three team coming into the season. A lot of people had them as a fringe playoff team, perhaps. I think now a successful season would be a top three finish in the Central Division. Plain and simple. I mean, wild card, not bad either, but to finish top three in the division, I think is what the Jets should aim for right now.
Yep, I agree with you. I think by Christmas, with the way that we're looking so far, I think that for me to call it a success, we have to be top three. If we are in a wild card, great, but I think by Christmas we want to have a little bit more expectation. I think we need to be, if we're in a wild card spot, I'm not going into the rest of the year thinking we're going to be a playoff team. But if we're top three going into Christmas, that makes me that I think that lights a fire in the fans and makes everybody see, holy, we might have a shot here, right? So we'll see. I mean, it's a long ways away yet. We still have 2 months ish of games, so it's going to be fun. I'm just so pumped. I'm winning 2 fantasy weeks right now, so I'm ecstatic because I think I started both leagues like 0-5. So I'm living on this week. Jets had a great week. My fantasy team had a great week. I'm sick, so that doesn't help. But it is what it is.
Yeah, so just looking at the Jets' goal share, actually, so 17 goals for, 18 against, that ranks 28th in the National Hockey League. That can something they definitely improve on as well. You never want to be towards the bottom tier of the NHL.
No, yeah. I don't know. Is there anything that you else want anything else you want to cover before we get into the B question of the week?
Not too much right now. I love the start 6-3-1. Just got to improve that goal share, cut down on the shots against, make Connor Hellebuck's life a little bit easier because he is playing phenomenal, and you want to limit the chances against so he can continue to play phenomenal. Yeah, let's go. Let's go to the BE question of the week.
All right. So my question of the week is: we've well established that Connor Hellebuck is the best player on this team. So right now, who is the next best player on this team? Who is contributing the most? Who is playing their role? Who, in your eyes, is the best player on this team?
Well, I would like to point out actually one thing, the fact that Logan Stanley hasn't seemed to have gotten in the lineup since I really put a nail or hammered the nail there about the fact that I didn't think he really was earning ice time on the Winnipeg Jets. He's only played 5 of the Jets' 10 games. So, really agree with that decision by the coaching staff to get him out of the lineup. The Jets' second best player this year, next to Connor Hellebuck, I want to lean towards Mark Scheifele because he has scored a lot of key goals. He scores the first goal in a lot of games, but he just doesn't have enough assists. And while he is playing a good two-way game this year, I don't think he's doing it as well as Pierre-Luc Dubois as PELD. I think has just brought his game more so this year than he has any other year to the Jets. 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 10 games played. He is a -2, but the Jets, their whole team is almost a minus because the goal share, like we talked about minutes ago. Shout out to Josh Morrissey too. He is putting up a lot of points. He's even +2, and he's also putting up a lot of penalty minutes. So that's pretty cool. But I'm gonna go PLD on this one. I think he has established himself as the Jets' most consistent player both ways of the rink. Now Mark Scheifele might be the Jets right now most offensive electric player, but best player all around. Let's go PLD. What do you got?
All right, yeah, I like that. PLD is a good choice. He's playing a very physical game this year too. He's digging, he's grinding for every puck. It's really nice to see. I mean, he's my guy. He's my favorite player on the Winnipeg Jets. That's the jersey I have. Love the guy. Josh Morrissey, love Josh Morrissey as well. I think that's a pretty solid pick. But I'm going to go with Mark Scheifele. And that's the only reason because of that is I had such a, sort of vision of Mark Scheifele before this year. And to see him actually work for pucks, get back, fight, dig, score, this is the Mark Scheifele I want to see. So I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. Mark Scheifele is the second best player on the Winnipeg Jets.
It's funny you say that because to start the first podcast, you just hammered Mark Scheifele. I was like, "How are you, Braden?" You're like, "I'd be a lot better if Mark Scheifele was playing to his potential." So it's funny to see life come full circle in the first couple of weeks of the NHL season.
Well, listen, on this podcast, there's no holding back. If you're playing if you're not moving your legs, I'm gonna come after you. If you're not grinding, I'm gonna come after you. But when you do things right and you're playing, I don't have nothing against Mark Scheifele. I've always liked Mark Scheifele, but it's really nice to see him putting in the effort and really giving it his all. And that's sort of why I was upset because I like the guy and I want to see him, work and be the best player that I think he can be. And it turns out, he must have been watching the podcast and got a little pissed off, and maybe, we'll see. But no, it's very nice to see. I really like the guy, and I'm happy to see what he's doing.
Well, we know the coaching staff listened to the podcast because Logan Stanley's out of the lineup now, and that's all thanks to me. I'm
That's
just
right.
saying.
That's right.
And of course, they must have told Mark, listen, these two shitheads, for lack of a better term, are trashing you here, Mark. Let's respond a little bit. And he has responded. I think with Scheifele, it's just so easy to tell when he's disengaged. And right now, he looks like he is focused on winning, which, of course, we both like to see. All of Jets Nation likes to see. So keep it up, Scheif. Great hockey.
Yeah. So before we sort of wrap up here, there is a bunch of injuries that we should probably go over. The first one, probably the big one, Nick Ehlers. Lower body. What I've heard from yesterday after talking to a couple guys is that they are hoping not, but it sounds like it might be longer than we expect. So that hurts quite a bit. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure how much longer they're thinking, but anytime we don't have Ehlers in the lineup is going to hurt us.
Well, yeah, he makes up 1/3 of what I think is the top 5 NHL first line in the National Hockey League with Ehlers, Connor, and Scheifele. And to not have that line deployed since Ehlers has been out is definitely hurting the Jets. But Ehlers, just get ready for the playoffs. It looks like the Jets are going to be a playoff team. Make sure you're healthy for then. I mean, you're going to want a little bit of a prenup or a pre-tune before that. So hopefully he comes back soon and helps the Jets establish himself as a playoff team. But just make sure you're healthy for playoffs, Nikolai.
Yeah, that's right. Right. We always talk about, make sure you take that time to make sure you're fully better. Don't pull a Quinn Hughes. He came in from Vancouver he got injured in the preseason a little bit. The injury was lasting. He didn't take enough time. Then it got injured again, missed a couple games. And that's not what you want to see, right? You want to let your guys take the time, heal up completely, then get back into a full swing. The next injury, Morgan Barron's wrist. I'm not sure how long he is out for. But that, it doesn't really. He undergoes wrist surgery, so I'm not sure. I don't know what the timeline is on that one. What's your opinion on that? Does that really take a big bite out of the Winnipeg Jets?
I actually like Morgan Barron a lot, so I think that affects the third line, but I don't think he's irreplaceable, perhaps like Nick Ehlers is. I don't think he brings as much impact, but I do think there's a player there, and I do think it takes away from our third line a little bit, but I think he is replaceable at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I like him too, and but like you said, he's a third line guy that maybe you don't want to see be replaced. Maybe you'd rather have him, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And then Logan Stanley with the foot injury. I know that you're sad
Fake.
right now. Yeah,
It's fake. They're saying it's a foot injury, but he's just eating popcorn in the press box.
well, didn't see him yesterday, but
Don't miss him.
But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that injury. I don't know if they've even released a lot of information.
You're actually informing me for the first time right now that kind of puts a wet towel over my theory that the Jets were listening to our podcast. Take Stanley out.
Well, you never know. Maybe it's a big cover up. Maybe they're just trying to screw with the waivers.
Yeah, well, maybe that's true. Maybe.
But hey, that is what it is. Next episode, we're gonna have a guest on. We're gonna have somebody. I got to lock down who that's gonna be. It's probably gonna be one of the guys from the Jets pregame show that we'll get. I will lock that down and we will release that probably before. I'm thinking we're doing the next episode probably Wednesday or Thursday. So I will lock down and we will release it on the Twitter of who that guest will be before next episode. And of course, we want to thank everybody for listening. And we will try to do a little bit more updating, sort of little like short videos, a minute or two. If we something big happens, we'll post those on Twitter and Facebook or Twitter and Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, possibly TikTok as well. So we want to thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, you keep tuning in. You keep telling people about us. If they are Jets fans, make sure you go follow the Twitter, the TikTok, the YouTube. Subscribe on wherever you listen to podcasts. Keep those downloads going. Noah, close us out here, big guy.
Stay classy, Jets fans.